I wouldn't expect him to do the opposite of what Trump's agenda is. It's not like he's going to go haywire and start cutting kids up at the agency. This is something, you trust this guy. He's going to do a good job. He's great on television. And that's what a lot of these guys are. Guys you can trust that are good on TV. It's not like you're hiring like the offensive coordinator for the Jets and I'm putting you in there because I like you and you're good on TV. You know, you're just going to get wiped out by the Chargers week 1. They'll probably run up the score to like 80-0. You don't know anything about football. It doesn't matter though. This is a federal bureaucracy. It runs itself. They're there to cut the waste and to not let people sue the bejesus out of Trump personally.
That's what they're there for? That's Jesse Waters down the truth, talking about Dr. We're Not in Kansas Anymore Oz, who's been chosen to run Medicare and Medicaid and apparently used to be in favor of surgeries for teens, which apparently he has now backed off on. Re-elected Orange Menace Donald J is for Jesus Christ, another 4 years of this guy. Trump is assembling a cabinet of pseudo-celebrities, also naming WWE co-founder Linda McMahon to lead the education department that he wants abolished, as well as cabinet roles for Fox News weekend host Pete Hegseth, also with sexual assault allegations, poorly written movie bad guy Stephen Miller, suspected spy Tulsi Gabbard for director of national intelligence, hilarious Instagram influencer RFK Jr., amorphous man without a spine Marco Rubio, former governor, late night talk show host, and Trump-themed children's book author Mike No One Hearts Huckabee, very aggressive dog catcher Kristi Noem as Secretary of Homeland Security, and former congressman and cast member of MTV's The Real World, Sean Duffy. We're about to see what happens when a cabinet of people stop being polite and start being total sycophants to do whatever Trump says. But apparently it matters not. If these people have any experience in government or know anything about the departments they are now going to be in charge of, even if it's in charge of millions of our service members, all that matters, according to Fox, is that they're good on TV, that they can randomly gut these agencies without knowing the intricacies of why the budgets are what they are. And for some reason, no task more important than personally guarding Trump from lawsuits. Ellen might have had the right idea leaving the country. But I'm curious your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, so running a football team requires expertise, which I agree, it does. But running the Department of Defense does not require expertise. Running healthcare for the country apparently does not require expertise. Running Medicare and Medicaid apparently, obviously, does not require expertise. He genuinely believes that. That's amazing to me. That's why Donald Trump in his first term said, you know what, I'm going to get rid of Obamacare and I'm going to replace it with something amazing, okay? And then they said, what is it? He said, I don't know, because no one knew healthcare was this complicated. Maybe it requires some expertise, okay? Running the country definitely requires some expertise, but these knuckleheads don't get it because they think, well, everything's just talking points, right? Everything's just whoever's better on TV and whoever does the better gotcha, right? Yeah, but that's not the real world. In the real world, you actually have to run things. And running things is difficult. It requires, first of all, most of all, management experience, let alone expertise in that particular field. They're basically just admitting they're a bunch of bozos. They're like, yeah, but we're good actors. We're paid to represent Mr. Trump so well. That is why he's hired us. And it doesn't really matter what we do with your government. We could run it straight into the ground. And because this isn't about you, this is about pleasing Donald Trump and how everybody should be from central casting. And then the other part of it is it doesn't matter because the bureaucracy runs itself. But wait, don't you guys hate that? You said there was a deep state, right? Oh my God, the deep state's running everything. We have to destroy the deep state. Well, now you're saying we have to destroy the guys who know how to run things and replace them with actor bozos who don't know how to run anything as long as they're good on TV. Well, that's really reassuring. Sounds like we're going to be in for a great 4 years.
These are the America Firsters, right? These are the people who spend all their time venerating the founding fathers and these men who, by the way, all wore wigs. But talking about how they created this country, they have passed it down to us with this irrefutable constitution, this basically unchangeable the way they view it, and it requires expertise and know-how in order to govern this country, because that was what was handed down to us. Well, guess what? Now they're saying, none of that matters. We just have good-looking people out there doing this, and we'll be fine. And that's, again, it's the hypocrisy. But we've been talking for 20 some odd years at this desk or something like it about hypocrisy, and maybe people are okay with hypocrisy. I mean, that's the thing, like pointing it out. I'm waving a white flag on hypocrisy now a little bit, because people don't care about it. People don't care about hypocrisy anymore. So what you have to do is you have to get them to care about the things that they ought to care about and forget about hypocrisy. And I'm the first person it's hypocritical of me to say that. But I mean, it's certainly an interesting talking point, because we've talked about it forever. It hasn't really struck a chord.
I'm going to build on what you're saying, Michael, because normally I'd say, like, imagine if Kamala Harris had won and said, you know what, who's going to be in charge of Medicare and Medicaid? Oprah. She doesn't require expertise. She's great on TV. The right wing would have been like, how dare you, etc. And that's hypocritical. But no, we're leaving that behind now because of Michael's edict. Okay, so now I'm going to try a different tact. Imagine if Oprah ran Medicare and Medicaid. She's so good on TV. Maybe you guys should hire Oprah.
Right.
Okay, get them thinking about it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but also, I mean, it's just, so hypocrisy, people don't seem to care, and that seems to be bared out in recent history. But it's just mind-boggling how both things that Jesse Waters said, two of those three things, are just equally mind-boggling. To say that your only job is to running a department of government is to look good on TV, it's just not only, as you said, Cenk, speaks to the complete vapid performative nature of what they do, but even more nefarious is the last point when he says, and protecting Donald Trump from lawsuits with that smarmy grin. That speaks exactly to the, not just corruption, the moral corruption, the deep corruption in what has always been obvious in the way they present the news, in the way that they present what their opinions are always just for an angle, for a purpose, to curry favor with power, to make sure Trump doesn't go after them, to make sure they get the #1 ratings. It's inherent in Laura Ingram's show being called The Ingram Angle, and nobody even questioning that. The show title literally being, here's my angle on the news. Used to be the no spin zone, at least with O'Reilly, and now it's here's my angle. What if the facts were presented this way? Right. Then you'd see it a little bit differently. It just shows all they care about is immediately selling the country down the river to be somehow in the favor of this king. They don't even put up a fight until he demands it. They willingly give it up. They willingly give up any sense of holding our government to be a government for the people. Forget it. It's a government for Donald Trump. It's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, and just to back up what Ben's saying, last quick point is, look, the Attorney General, for example, is supposed to be the lead attorney for the people, for all of the American people. It's not supposed to be the lead attorney for the president. Trump has never understood that, and apparently now Fox News, right wing, everybody thinks, no, it shouldn't be for the people. It should be just for Donald Trump. Okay, but you asked for it, so then if the Attorney General or anybody in his administration screws you over, they're gonna get to say, well, you told us only to serve Trump and not you guys. So you were very, very clear about that. So we didn't serve you at all. We only served Trump and his donors and his buddies. So congratulations, you got what you wanted. I hope it doesn't go in that direction, but that's what Fox News and Jesse Waters is pushing for as we speak.
That's our angle, at least.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.